And well,
Yeah.
honestly, I mean, 3 out of 4, that's pretty dope, you know? That's pretty awesome. So
Yeah, I'd say that's
I was gonna say it's. I feel like it's rare that there's more than like 2 of us. So
hey, I mean, I'm lucky.
3 out of 4 ain't bad.
Yeah,
You'll
dude,
get
I'm
some.
stoked.
We'll get probably some cameos of some of my cats. So that'll get us up in
Oh,
numbers.
heck
That'll
yeah.
be fine. You know.
Oh, perfect, dude. I love that. We need that. You know, more people on screen, the better. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Well, I guess we'll just start out. You know, first off, thank you guys so much for joining me on the podcast. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you.
Oh yeah. Thanks for having us. Pleasure.
Yeah, man. So I always just start out with just quick introductions. Give you guys just a minute. Tell us who you are individually, and almost, you know, elementary school style. Tell us something about you that people may not know.
Ooh, okay. I guess I'll go first. My name's Enoma. I am the guitarist and founding member of Haunter. And let's see, something that people may not know. I speak a little Japanese. Like I haven't spoken in a number of years, but I still can read the basic writing system of hiragana and katakana.
Heck yeah, man. I mean, that's Japanese on your hoodie, right?
Yes, it is.
Awesome, man. What does it say? Does it say tuned in Tokyo? Is that?
You know what, to be very honest, I've not even read it. I just saw it and I thought it was dope.
Nice. I love it. Yeah, that's awesome, bro. Well, so I guess just a quick follow-up. Where did you learn Japanese? Was it just a passion thing, or was it in school, or what?
So I lived in Hawaii for a number of years when I was a kid, and that's right around the time I started like noticing like anime and manga and all that stuff, and all the books were in Japanese, and you know the internet was still in its infancy, so there wasn't like anyone out there online translating it like for the masses. So
yeah,
I picked up a little, and then when I went to college, like I took a couple of courses, and yeah. So I wish I was a way more competent in it than I am, but like basic sentence structures and things of that nature, like I can still kind of fumble my way through, but like I am by no means fluent.
Oh, that's cool, dude. That's awesome. I mean, I always commend anyone who takes the time to learn another language. You know, it's a lot of work, it's a lot of energy, and honestly, it's super valuable because then you get to know other cultures and other people more in depth. So that's rad, dude.
Oh,
all right. Who's next?
I'll go next, I guess. I'm Mike. I play guitar and keys and sing backing vocals. Something I don't know, many people might not know about me is I forget like what the technical term is, but my great grandparents were Johnny Cash's great grandparents. So he's like my cousin something times removed or whatever, you know, whatever random fact. It's just one of those things you find in like a, you know, family genealogy book, and you're like, I'm hanging on to this forever.
Heck yeah, dude. You have relation to Johnny Cash. That's
yeah,
dope.
man in black, right? So like take it, right? So
dude, that's amazing.
So yeah, just random fact.
That's
I guess.
Awesome, dude.
I remember you've told me that, but I actually forgot. Like that is super cool.
Yeah, sometimes I need to like I need to figure out what the actual, you know, like what the actual specific, you know, whatever cousin, however many times removed term is, because that's way cooler than just being like, yeah, my great grandparents or his great grandparents, and it's like I don't know, but still,
just get a little bit clearer definition of what the relation is. But that's dope, dude. Now you guys got to cover like a Johnny Cash song, you know? Just
this is very true.
Like, this is my family member's song that we're covering, you know, and then just everyone's on stage like, wait, what?
This is your birthright, man.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Exactly.
Is that how that works? I get the entire catalog.
Yep. I mean, you'll have to take it up with the Johnny Cash estate, but I think
my country career is going to thrive.
Oh yeah,
love it, dude.
I'll play bass for you. That's fine, man. Let's go.
Yeah, you're to hear first. We're turning to a country band.
You don't grow up in Oklahoma City and not, you know, play country at some point in your life. So I just
there you go, dude.
Gotta get there.
A lot of country music out there.
Yeah, I wasn't in Oklahoma. I've never been to Oklahoma, but I was in Texas. Yeah. It's similar, you know, pretty close.
I mean, my whole life's been either, you know, Oklahoma or Texas. So Just all,
Nice.
Dude. My first concert was Garth Brooks. Just stuff you'd expect.
Oh, dude.
Yeah,
Every time I think of Garth Brooks now, I just think of Your Mom's House, that podcast. Have you guys ever watched that or listened to it?
Yeah.
Tom Segura and his wife, Christina Fujitsu or whatever. Yeah, they've got this funny thing about Garth Brooks, dude. It's really funny. They have like there's a bunch of inside jokes that I wasn't getting, so I Googled it, and it was they're crazy.
They've gone deep with it. Like it goes out into the rabbit hole. Yeah, like I found the Your Mom's House podcast. It's funny. Like I was listening to Whitney Cummings' podcast, and Tom Segura was a guest, and so I was like, oh, this is really funny. And so I was like, oh, okay, he has a podcast. So him and Bert Kreischer, and then I saw, oh, he has one with his wife, and I was like, okay, so yeah. And I found out, I was like, oh, wait a minute, she looks really familiar. And then I was like, oh shit, she's that chick from Road Rules from like forever ago, like I think literally like the very first season of Road Rules. And I'm dating myself a bit by remembering that, but I just thought it was like really fucking funny. And,
dude.
And I just love that like all these comedy podcasts, like they all have each other on as guests, and so that ends up like following and finding like all these really great like little pockets. So if you're talking comedy podcast, man, you're speaking my language.
Oh, dude, yeah. I was watching a little bit of Two Bears, One Cave today with Bert Kreischer and Tom Segura. Bert's laugh literally gets me rolling. I just like his laugh makes me laugh so hard. Have you guys heard Bert Kreischer laugh? Like it's just
I
like
think
he
so.
laughs really hard. He gets really high pitched and he tries to talk. You just have to watch it, and every time I hear him laugh, it's so contagious. So
I remember him telling the machine story. Is that the machine? Yeah, hearing him tell that story, dude. Oh, I died laughing.
Hilarious.
So many times.
He's freaking hilarious. Yeah, dude. That's amazing. Well, Mark, we haven't even introduced you yet, bro.
Yeah. I'm Mark. I play bass. And I guess since I got to find something. One thing that many people may not know about me is that I have a best friend. And his name is Kai. And he's been bugging me this whole time.
Awesome. Hey, look, we're going to get all the pets on the podcast today, man. I love it. Oh, man, I love it.
He's been bugging me this whole time to be on here. So
is that a French bulldog? Is that what that is?
Yeah.
Nice.
It's actually my roommates, but
two sons, and there's 0% chance I'll ever have a pet because 2 sons is enough. It's a lot of work. So.
I can imagine. This little guy is.
I struggle enough with cats.
Yeah, dude. I mean, you add pets into the mix. I just don't know how people with kids have pets too. I'm like, dude, that sounds exhausting.
Yeah, it's like having a kid that never learns how to talk.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, was it Meet the Parents? What was that?
Oh, I was gonna say, but also somehow is like easier to take care of than a kid, despite the lack of communication. I say that.
I feel like it's almost like the supply and demand curve, right? Where it's like pets are easier to an extent, but then kids grow up, so then eventually they become way easier, right?
Pets are perpetually toddlers.
Exactly. Yeah, but they tend to need less constant supervision, right? Like pets can be a little bit more free to roam than a toddler can, because literally like I can't let my wife and I were joking about how there's no way we can just fall asleep with our kids awake in the house. There's no way. Like I'll be sitting here working, my kids will come into my office and all these are Lego sets behind me and they'll just come and play, and I get like anxious. I'm like, oh, please don't break them, but I want them to play, but I don't want them to break them. And there's just that level of anxiety.
Is that a scout trooper helmet over your shoulder?
Yeah, so we got the Scout Trooper, Darth Vader, and
Boba Fett. Yeah, there's a full set. Okay.
Oh, that's sick.
And then you've got the Lego
House from Home Alone.
Home Alone house.
Yeah.
And then you can't really see it, but there's a Lego DeLorean.
Nice.
Oh, shut the front door.
Very nice.
Little DeLorean here too.
Oh, God. Nice. First of all, can we just go ahead and just say, like, Back to the Future, one of the best, like,
absolutely,
comedy movies in existence.
I literally I scream to myself like Doc Brown every time I find myself going 88 miles an hour. Just anytime I look down and see it, I'm like 88 miles an hour.
I love it, dude. Oh, yeah. Honestly, like those movies are just incredible. I can't remember who I was talking to about it, but there's something about those 80s like sci-fi comedy movies. Like one of my favorites of all time is Bill and Ted's both Excellent Adventure and Bogus Journey. And like everyone knew Keanu Reeves from The Matrix. And I was like, no, I know Keanu Reeves from Bill and Ted's.
He was like Theodore Logan.
Ted. Exactly. Yeah, I'm glad I'm in company that gets that. I'm good. I'm glad.
Dude, I love those movies, but have you watched them like being an adult and you're just like, ooh, some of these things don't hold up.
Yeah. There's definitely things where you're like, you have to put it back in the time that it was at, and you're like, okay, it's in the time contextually, it was appropriate, quote unquote.
Yeah.
But yeah,
even just like
you said Bogus Journey, and I was like, oh, I remember one scene where if they watch
they
that,
push themselves and kill. Yeah, the robot versions kill themselves. Yeah, it's Yeah, it's
okay.
it's,
So you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, but I also like there's so many good memories with those movies, and so it's hard. You know, you have to kind of separate the crass, because like I said, you also have to remember, like it's almost like watching Tropic Thunder. Is it Tropic Thunder? Like remembering at that time those things were a little bit more like accepted, quote unquote, but they weren't acceptable, right? And so it's so hard because
and Tropic Thunder was like, you know, that whole thing is poking fun at and pointing out all the things that were like
absolutely
insanely acceptable, you know. So it's
it definitely pushed the envelope about as far as it could possibly go without it just being like, all right, this is just out and out.
But even stuff like I've been rewatching How I Met Your Mother lately, just as something like put on, you know, just for like background noise, and there are a lot of jokes a lot of jokes in there, even only being like 10 years old. I was like, oh wow, okay, that was maybe something that
times have definitely changed very rapidly.
This is Caspian.
Oh, nice.
he's trying to get on the computer. I'm holding him down, but
yeah, don't let him cut you out. We need to keep you in this, man.
Yeah,
gotta keep us all here.
Napoleon is like one of my other kitties is like literally within arm's reach. So I'm sure there will be more. Every time I'm doing something like, hey, this is interesting, I see people. Yeah.
How many cats do you have?
6 here currently. 5 like that are here always, and then 1 is some of my clients moved to, I work in real estate, and some of my clients moved to Idaho and had 2 dogs and kids and weren't able to take the cats because they didn't want them to be inside with the dogs in like a small place. And so I'm basically just sort of cat sitting for them until they get a place. So, but yeah, they're all just, I mean, they're all rescues, all like literally cats that I found. The idea was just sort of to bring them in and then find them a home, and then like everybody got along, so they just kind of stayed. You know, it seemed crazy to upset the balance. So
yeah, I mean, you created a nice little habitat. That's good, dude. I wouldn't do that, but I commend people who can. I think it, you know, because obviously to rescue an animal, that's commendable. That's fantastic.
Sure. Well, and like I feel like a few, you know, 3 or 4 cats is like 1 dog. You know, so it's like. The amount of like me, I just feel like because they're so like self-sufficient in a lot of ways. Like you don't have to let them out. You can like leave food down and leave for a couple days and come back. You know, like as long as they have enough like clean litter boxes and enough food and that sort of. You know, it's not like
they're pretty sufficient. They're self-sufficient.
Yeah, I mean, like they don't need attention. They seem to crave it, but it's not like if they don't get it, they get like depressed like some dogs do and stuff. You know, I just I love dogs. I just don't think I could ever have a dog because I would be gone, you know. I just
with the amount of time
I don't know if I could commit to the schedule that having a dog puts you on, you know.
I can definitely co-sign that. I had I briefly had a puppy that I actually by the end of it like grew to love, but I just realized like with my personal life, like with my work schedule and like trying to do stuff with the band, like it was just like impossible to be home enough for him. And it was just bad because like I live in a moderately sized like 2-bedroom apartment, but like it's still not enough room for like a dog.
Yeah.
So like, it would be like I would kennel him for like 9 hours a day, and then like we'd go out and like we'd walk and do things like that. And then like while I was home and awake, like he would be out and just hanging out with me. But I felt like he wasn't getting the right kind of love. Like I loved him, but I was like, man, this is not the right home for a dog.
Yeah.
So I had to rehome him, and I was bummed about it. But like I ultimately knew it was a.
Hey man, you gotta do what's right for the pet, you know.
Yeah, dude. And there's like, everything's situational, obviously, like in your case where it's like that's one of the things that I always have a hard time with. I'm like, why do you have a pet if you're just gonna leave him in the kennel, right? Like I don't know, there's something about that to me, like because one of my best friends, he got a dog, and he had sworn he wouldn't get pets, but then like the moment he got a dog, he instantly like built this whole like place for it and had the kennel for his bed, but then had this whole setup with the that the dog had like 10 square feet, right? Like 10 feet square, and it was a huge little habitat, and it was a tiny little puppy, right? And this dog's just living its dream, and they'd still be like, oh, we got to make sure we take him out. I'm like, dude, see, that's what you're supposed to do. That's how you're supposed to take care of an animal. But some people I know, they just literally would leave them in the kennel, and I'm like, that dog has got to be miserable.
Yeah, it's rough.
Yeah, it's
just hard if you're not home like all day long, you know.
Yeah, if I were working from home, it would have been a completely different story. But like, I definitely have to head to a certain location like every single day. So to be gone long for
and some dogs to deal with like separation anxiety in different ways, you know. And so like some, when you're gone, if you're not there, they freak out and destroy a bunch of stuff just because they don't know how to handle stuff, you know. Like it's not like they're trying to be bad. They're just like, they don't know what's going on. They're just like, why did you leave me? And it's, so I don't know. Cats are like, you can just get a second cat and then let them hang out with each other. It's just way easier. Like as long, I always recommend having at least more than one cat, because like if there's just one cat, they're, they don't have anybody to play with, like when you're not home and stuff.
But I mean, but aren't cats like the ones that just will turn on you in a heartbeat and just like scratch you? Aren't they?
Theoretically, like, I guess. I don't know. I don't have any that are that.
Okay, like I said, I can't speak from any experience, right? I'm just coming from like all the videos I've seen of people play, like the fail videos.
Well, yeah, I think a lot of people just like
scratches them.
Don't know how to have a cat, and they're not really. I don't know. Like once you get to know cats, like they're pretty easy to read. So like I've never really had a cat come after me in any kind of way, because it's like I can tell if they're pissed, so like I'm not gonna I'm not gonna mess with them, like you just leave them be. And so
that makes sense. Well, we've had a lot of fun talking about random stuff, but obviously the reason we're here is to talk about Haunter, which crazy cool music, guys. It's fun because when I read the little history that was, the little bio, I guess, that was sent to me, it was, you guys all come from pop punk / metal backgrounds, right? And then you made a pop band, which is, I think you can hear and feel like the influences of those other genres in the music, but it still has a very, pop electronic pop vibe, which I feel like would be really kind of challenging. So how did this come about, where you guys came from these various backgrounds and decided to come up with what you got here as Haunter? And I know, Enoma, you said that you were one of the founding members, so you probably have a little insight into that, but
yeah, I'll try to be brief.
No need to be brief, dude. That's the great thing about the podcast, right? You just explain the whole thing.
So I mean, really, with Haunter, I was I guess it all kind of stemmed from me and kind of my desire. Like I was playing in a band that was very Amberlin, There for Tomorrow, Seosini, low
post-hardcore / more mainstream post-hardcore, I guess.
Yeah. So very much in that like that little pocket, and I loved the music, but like the vibe was we were kind of burning out. Like I think everyone was just kind of like over it being a struggling band for so many years, and it just wasn't like fun anymore.
Okay, yeah.
And then kind of like right where that started to kind of end, like everyone started doing other projects, and I was like, man, I didn't know if I had anything really left to say or to do. So I ended up hanging out with a friend of mine, Aaron Musselwhite. He's a producer in our city who's freaking phenomenal, super talented dude. And I started just kind of writing some rough ideas and just playing around just to see if I could still like write something or anything really. And as I started kind of doing that, I met Lucy through my old band. And I was just kind of thinking like, well, if I start anything, maybe I want something with a little feminine energy, because like hanging out with a bunch of dudes for 10 years and being in was like, yeah, it just I was tired of that kind of just like super just not I just wasn't the type of energy I really wanted for the project. And I was like, all right, I want something really different. So I convinced Lucy, sight unseen, she had not heard a single note of music. I was like, hey, I'm starting this project. Don't know what it is, don't know what I'll call it, but I have a friend of mine who's a legit producer and is like, hey, if you want to come to LA and work with me, like, you're more than welcome to. And sight unseen, she was like, I'm with it. And so
challenge accepted.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, it just kind of came together that way. And then Mike's been my best friend for 15, 16 years.
Heck yeah.
So like he was already kind of from the jump kind of about it. And then Mark and I, we met at a Danger Kids show like back nice,
dude.
What was it, like 2017, right? Like, because
good band.
Yeah, Danger Kids. So our producer Tyler is the one of the frontmen of that band.
Oh, so, sick.
Yeah, so he and I became friends because like I went to their shows and like where it was like, hey, since you guys are in town, if you need a place to stay, like you can crash with me. And then all that was like, yeah, they stayed with me. Like I would hang out with them, and then he and I would just end up talking music all the time, showing them demos and being like, I want to do something, but I don't know what. And he offered up his services. It was like, hey, if you ever get something together, just come hang out, like, and we'll see what happens. And so met Lucy, grabbed Mark, and then invited Mike to come out and hang out and take photos and videos. And then next thing I know, he's making suggestions in the studio, and we just kind of like all kind of decided, hey, I guess
we're gonna happen quick. Yeah,
this is the band. I love it. And when it all started, obviously you said, you wanted a change of pace, right? Like that energy. There's obviously different vibes with different groups of people, different things. What made you change? Was it, how do I word this? Because it's basically, you could have potentially gotten that change of pace, that change of vibe by just joining being with a different band, right? But you went full, not just a new band, but a completely new sound, new style, new everything. So what was it that inspired that complete shift to really like step away from that genre and go with a completely new direction? Like, how did that come about?
I feel like it was just something that all of us had kind of wanted to explore at some point, right? So like we had all done various things. We'd been in like pop punk bands or pop rock bands and like heavier bands, and like Lucy still is the singer of a metal band that's killer. But like, and even Tyler, like our producer, is like he does heavier stuff and like a bunch of rock records, and is in like a heavier band and that sort of stuff. But all of us have had this affinity for pop music for so long that we were just like, I think it'd be fun to just like make some pop songs, right? So we just kind of went into it with no real expectations or goals or anything. We're just like, let's make some pop music and like see how this goes. And then it just kind of, everything fell into place. It went really well.
Yeah, couldn't have worked out any better.
Heck yeah. I mean, honestly, it sounds like it's working out great. Like, and obviously one of the cool things that I've noticed that I feel like is a kind of different world too is there've been a lot of remixes of the songs that you guys have done, which is typically not something you're going to find in pop punk or post-hardcore or any of those worlds. But where with what you guys are doing, are you guys doing the remixes? Are you like, are there local producers that are like, hey, I want to remix your song? How does that work?
So the remixes were for me just kind of like as much as I love pop music, like I love all types of music, but I also love electronic music, and I've always had a soft spot for like remixes. Like a good remix sometimes to me like can be
definitely
better than the original.
Oh yeah, sometimes it is.
Totally,
yeah,
totally agree.
And so like that being said, like I always had this vision. I was like, you know what, like for every song that we're going to put out, we're going to have some sort of remix. Like, I don't know the particular style of electronic music it'll kind of like adapt to, but I'm going to find people that I really like and I really like working with and try to kind of piece things together. Like, so the first remix we put out was the Love You Better remix. And that was from my friend Aaron, who kind of helped me start writing songs in the first place. Next one was the Miss Me. And that was our dude Raul from a band called Never Tell.
Oh, dude, great!
Yeah, Raul's a homie, man.
Dude, Raul,
he's so freaking talented. Like
yeah, bro. I've had them on the podcast a couple times. Raul is a rad dude, man. I love Never Tell. They shout out to those guys, man.
For real, shout out to the Never Tell boys.
Yeah, dude. Raul, one of the cool his rhythm, his flow is just so dope, man.
Oh,
like,
dude, he
starts rapping, it's crazy.
Yeah, so like Raul is a homie, so we got him to do that remix, and then the guy who Dimitri, I actually found Dimitri through TikTok, oddly enough. Like I'm like never on that app, but he did a remix of Dear Maria, Count Me In, and I was like,
oh, sick.
Oh, this is sick. Like that's how I found him, and it was just, and he never like went live with it, but he posted it, and it just like I think All Time Low like retweeted it or something, and I was like, oh, this dude's sick. And Heck so yeah. Like I just kind of reached out to him, and I was like, hey, what do you think of this track? And like I sent him Risk It All, and he was like, yo, we can make something really sick with this. And then he sent me the remix, and I was like, whoa, this is crazy. Like he's insanely talented. Like I think the only song we don't have a remix for currently is Illuminate, and we're working on that.
We'll get one, yeah.
We'll get one. There
will eventually be a remix, probably for everything we put out. You know, just at least one, just for the sake of. I don't know. I'm like Enoma. I've always just really dug remixes because it's just like it's the same way that like I like hearing a demo version of a song and a final version of a song to see the progression, right, and see where things went.
Yeah.
And to see like it's like seeing what somebody can take and create with, you know, like from a different create art from other art, right?
That's what I was gonna say. I like to hear, you know, different people's perspective on like the same song. Because everybody thinks a little bit differently, and everybody does everything a little bit differently. So whenever you know you drop somebody the stems, and you know, who knows what they do, you know, but like something I would do is just like listen to somebody's vocal track and just be like, oh, okay, what do I hear from this, and you know, build on there. But Dimitri's built it for sure.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Dimitri's sick, and I'll go ahead and say it here now. There for our new single Paralyzed, there is a remix that's already put together. Dimitri's doing it again, and it's sick. It's so sick.
That's awesome. I mean, I agree with you because there's a YouTuber, Andrew Huang, I think his name is. He'll do that. Like he partners with one of the major like royalty-free music sites or whatever, and he'll send a sample to 4 different of his friends who are producers, and you know they will sample it and create something out of it, right? They'll take pieces of it and change it around, and it's so fascinating to see how different that same sample can become when you put it into 4 different people's hands. And I think it's really cool that you guys are doing the same thing, because it's, first off, I think it's cool because you're including additional people and you know, using your platform to propel other people and help other people, which I think is really awesome. But then also that like you can write these really cool songs and then realize, man, someone else has a lot of talent too. I want to see what they would do with my idea. And for me, it just is so cool to see all those different ideas coming together. And so that's really cool that you guys do that. And
well, that's
like,
the same as like we did on Miss Me. Like we had our buddy Riley do a verse on that song, or like the bridge, I guess, of that song. And it was just one of those things that like, you know, we felt like you have these talented friends, right? You want to like showcase them, and like he's one of those guys that like Enoma and he actually tour managed. I was on a bus with him a long time ago. He was tour managing a band I was on tour with. And so like I've known him, you know, for ages, and Enoma and Mark I think was on a tour with him, and Enoma's known him forever. And so it's just one of those things that like once he started making music, we were just like, hey, I've just been blown away by how much freaking talent that guy has too. It's like, but just I mean, he's just killer. But you know, it's just one of those things that like I view collabs the same way. You know, like anytime like that new track from The Main and Taking Back Sunday and Charlotte Sands, it's like so cool because it's just it's like there's like equal input from all of them, right? It's not just like it doesn't feel like a main song with like Charlotte Sands just dropping in, or like a Taking Back Sunday song. You know, it's like it feels like it's all of them, which is, I don't know, it's just really tight. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, usually when it's, you know, that one felt less like a featuring so and so, and it really did feel like a holy crap. When Taking Back Sunday came in, you could feel the Taking Back Sunday vibes in the song at that point in time, and I thought that was really cool how they did that.
And did you like my favorite moment in the song is where they do the dual vocals and the music drops out, and I was like, oh, that's such a Taking Back Sunday thing.
Yeah.
It's such a stylistic flex, and you're like,
it's not like
only Taking Back Sunday has ever like.
It's not like they were the first ones to ever do that, but like,
no,
they might as well.
That's
you know, it's like
it became their sound, and I was like, oh, that's such an interesting thing that they brought that flair to it. And I'm already I'm a huge Charlotte Sands fan. Like I think
I'm a huge fan of all three of those artists.
Everyone in the band to her, I'm just like blown away with how big she's gotten, and like her music is fucking killer.
Yeah,
and to, like great. Have like three amazing artists kind of come together to a song that actually felt cohesive. Like I was like, all right, this is cool.
That's always the hard part, right? Is like making it feel cohesive because you've got to realize, you know, they're not just featuring Adam, right? They're featuring Taking Back Sunday, right? That's a band they're working together with. It's you've got two full bands that are super talented that are contributing to this, and to create something cohesive from that would be a lot of work, right? Like you've got these people who are individually, and that I guess that's when I always really appreciate it, when I realize I'm like, it just goes to show like there's an appreciation there amongst each other that says, hey, I know I'm talented, but I know you're talented. Let's actually work together because we can make it even that much better if we come together. I think that's awesome.
Oh yeah, totally, man. Like I think like when you don't have egos in the room, like that's where you get that truly collaborative sort of like environment where it's like, cool, like we'll make space for all the good ideas, and we'll have the freedom to say, hey, maybe that's not the best idea. It doesn't serve the song in the right way. And then everyone like is able to be open and honest and collaborative, and it just allows for such really cool dynamics to take shape.
Yeah. And I am curious, obviously, you know, when Haunter started, where did it start from? Like, was it, you know, your producer had a like a sample that he was working with, or you had something like, because, you know, obviously it's a brainchild of you guys, but like when that first song started coming together, did you have something in your mind prior, or was it just kind of like, hey, let's sit down and figure this thing out?
So I think it was a little bit of both. Like,
okay.
So just to maybe give some insight on our songwriting process, like I'll typically have some sort of like direction or vibe or energy I want to capture, and I'll be like, hey, I'm feeling this, or I want this song to be, let's say for instance we use Paralyzed. Like I was listening to a lot of Paris, 30 Seconds to Mars, like those types of bands that were really kind of like dark, ethereal, and had like some like songs that kind of really pulled back in the verses, but really came full front and like gave you that like punch in the face sonically during the chorus. Like, so I was like, I don't know what we'll write, but I know that's the energy and that's like the basic template that I wanted to try out. And then just we would go there, we would hear reference tracks and be like, cool, like that helps us kind of get in the headspace of writing that kind of stuff. And then it just, you know, Tyler will just open up a session, we'll build out some basic drums, and then we just kind of like start stacking ideas on top of it until we write parts, and then we just kind of connect the tissue. And then by the end of it, it's like, wow, after, you know, a day and a half, we're like, okay, this is something now.
It slaps, yeah. Like, so the first time we went in, we did have like a bunch of demos and stuff, and we started with going with some of those, but also just when we sat down and talked with Tyler and, you know, figured out what we all wanted from things, we felt like the best thing was trying to pick like a vibe and a vein, you know, and like something that we were trying to get to and like go for. And then we just kind of were like, okay, how do we get there, right? And so we all just put our heads together, and like Enoma was saying, like when there's no egos in the room, there's no like bad ideas. Everyone was just like sharing stuff and, you know, finding stuff and finding out what worked. And so we've wound up, you know, like a lot of the songs have started with like a, you know, a chord progression or a sample or some sort of like morsel that we had that we like brought in that we liked, and, you know, could all agree like let's build from this, right? So, but for the most part, we're writing, you know, we've put everything together in studio. Like when we went to the studio for the first time, like we hadn't ever actually, the four of us had only been in a room together once. And so it was just like, yeah, it was just one of those things where we're just like, we're just going to do this and see how it goes. Right. And so it's been awesome. And I feel like, you know, every time we go, we get even better at finding out, you know, how we work in the best way, you know, to keep the flow going and all that stuff. And we've got a bunch of like, we've done way more pre-production for our upcoming recording session than we've done any of the previous ones, just because we wanted to go in, you know, like we want to go in with as many possible ideas, you know, as we can to try and wind up with the best possible product. And also, you know, like Tyler's just busy. We're trying to take some of the work off his plate. The man is just, I don't understand how he sleeps. He just,
but he's definitely, I could say this with like no cap, like he is the hardest working man in rock music today.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, man.
That's quite the compliment right there. And you said, so you guys travel to LA to do your recording?
Yeah, we always record at like in his studio just to, you know, try to make things easy, and that way he still gets to spend time, you know, with his wife and have like, he doesn't have to uproot his life and, you know, travel and be gone for like 2 weeks or a month at a time, you know. So
yeah, absolutely. And this project is fairly new, right? Like it's
yes and no.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's years in the making, I'd imagine, but also like as an official product, you know,
as an official product, we're maybe like we're not even 2 years old. Like like we're not even 2 years old. So like actually our second birthday would technically be Valentine's Day this year.
Coming up, coming up soon.
So Valentine's Day was the first day you guys got in the studio. Is that what it was, or
that was when we launched. That's when we launched "Love You Better."
Oh, okay. Okay,
and like you know, every wonderful band decision ever made, we launched a band in February of 2020, and then the entire world shut down like 3 weeks later, right? And so we had all these we had all these grand plans for like the release and like how we're gonna build on all this stuff and all these shows, and then like there were no shows, so we just, you know, doubled down on like writing and recording and doing more stuff. But like, no, our first time in the studio together was fall of 2017, I think.
Yeah.
Has it been that long? Yeah. Wow. Okay.
It's been that long.
So we started, like
5 years.
Because going, because like Tyler's availability is limited, you know, like he can squeeze us in where he can squeeze us in. We try and go see him every, I don't know, about every year and a half or so. For a couple weeks and do like 3 or 4 songs. And then we wanted to like, because we knew we wouldn't be able to get out there that often, we didn't want to like launch the project too early and then like not have any other stuff. Yeah, right. So we made it a point to like make sure we had like, you know, 8 or 10 songs before we ever even launched one. And that way, no matter what, we'll always have stuff in the chamber to, you know, come out. And so.
And does that, so you guys had stopped with your previous bands and stuff back in 2017 then, and you guys have been working together in Haunter ever since? Is that kind of what happened?
I mean, my old band broke up in like 2011. So I didn't play music for like 6 years. I went back to school, finished school, and then had just been like working in real estate. And I mean, still going to shows, like, you know, I go to like 3 or 4 shows a week just because it's the thing that makes me happiest in life is just being around music. So, but just wasn't playing. And that's what Enoma was like, he wouldn't take no for an answer when I was just like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know if I want to play again or do all this stuff. He's like, dude, he basically like dragged me into this project and I could not be more thankful. So
yeah, I'm, if nothing else, I am convincing and persistent.
Well, you also knew what was best for me. And it's sometimes hard to like, you know, like you could see how much I missed stuff.
Oh, totally.
So,
well, and that's
forever.
Obviously super beneficial to be in a band with some of your best friends, right? Like you said you've been best friends for 15, 16 years, something like that. So like that's helpful, right? Like
It hasn't been 16. We met at a Fall Out Boy show in 2005. Yeah. So whatever that is, coming on 17 years.
Jeez. That's
so y'all just you guys just make friends at concerts, man. That's impressive. I don't know if I've ever really talked to people at concert. I pretty much just kind of keep to myself and just listen to the music.
Yeah, no, I'm like being in a band for so long, you by default are like looking around to make friends.
Okay.
Yeah, because like back in the day before, like I would used to like go to shows like just to like be seen passing out flyers or QR codes for my other band.
Yeah, that makes
Believe
sense.
me, yeah, there wasn't a show that I went to in Houston for years that somebody from Enoma's band wasn't there like handing stuff out. And like I mean I knew who he was before we ever even like actually finally became friends because I'd just seen him around a million times.
Yeah, we would have flyers and just just be out and be part of the community. Like it's fun. And then obviously like because I was giving Danger Kids a place to stay and they were hanging out and they were friends, like their merch manager, Jan, knew Mark and he was the one who introduced Mark and I. So
nice.
Yeah, so when we're at that the Following Reverse Danger Kids show, like he was like, yo, you know what, you need to meet Mark. Mark plays bass and I know you want to start a band and now Tyler's gonna record. Like y'all should all just kind of like make it happen. And so like just going to shows pays off. Like I know like the internet exists and TikTok's around and everyone can like be friends on Twitter and connect that way.
I don't know if that's possible actually. I don't think people can be friends on Twitter. That was just joking. Twitter's a pretty toxic place.
Twitter can be a nightmare hellscape, but like we've actually, I'll be very honest, like our band has found some friends on Twitter that have been really great that actually ended up helping us a lot with today, because today we announced the pre-save for Paralyze, and what I did prior to it going live was like basically go to all of our friends and bands that we made friends with and talk to them and be like, hey, do you mind sending out this exact tweet at this exact time and just try to like build some momentum? And we're still a small band, but like just the amount of love we got from that alone was really cool. So
that's awesome.
I got a shout out.
Even just, I mean, I was going to say there are a bunch of people that were super helpful in that way. And then there are a bunch of people too that just like retweeted stuff today. You know, like I was amazed at how many like shares and things we got from just
it was
posting something simple. So
a simple organic thing. And I gotta give some love to a couple of people. So I'll heap some praise first to my girl Amanda from In the Morning. She was one who actually showed me that because she did it for her previous single, and I was like, oh, that's a really cool idea. And so I went to her and got her feedback on how I could frame it so that it could be more effective. Like, so she definitely helped me out. There's this really great pop punk artist in Maryland. His name is Breezy Supreme. Dude is super cool. Is building a massive following. So he showed us some love today. Bands like Nightlife. I don't know if you've heard them, but if you haven't heard Nightlife, you need to listen to Nightlife. Cannot say enough good things about that band. They're like,
I haven't heard them. I'll have to check them out.
Yeah,
Nightlife, I thought of Night Games, but that's definitely not the band you're talking about.
No, it's not. But they're also good.
Too many night bands. Night Games, Night Traveler, Nightly.
Yeah,
all great bands. But
Nightlife is super, super sick. Like, they're really original. I would say it's like The Weeknd started like a metal band.
Nice.
Yeah.
Like, I'm writing it down right now.
So. They're really cool. They actually were were a Spotify like Discover Weekly band for me. They just popped up, you know, 1 week.
Super cool. Their song New Low is a bop. It's so good.
I just wrote it in so that way I could remember, because I know I'll forget.
So like in the morning, they're really great too. Like, so if you like pop punk, like, they're a great band. Nightlife, super cool. Patient 76 is a metalcore band in Australia. Just like friends that we had made. Like, I mean, also shout out to the 8123 family for showing us a little bit of love today. Like,
oh, nice.
Yeah, like, so Mike is an avid fan of the Maine, and he's made me a really big fan, and he's gotten into that community, and he's made friends there.
It'd be amazed. Cool, yeah. I mean, like, I started going to, you know, like, I realize if I'm traveling to shows alone, right? Like, might as well make friends at those shows. And it's just been amazing, like, how many people like already knew each other from Twitter and stuff. But it's just, I don't know, it's just been really, really cool to go to those shows and like meet so many new people and just get invited to so many things.
That's one of the most authentic, organic communities I've ever seen.
They're awesome. I mean, it's just,
the amount of work that the Maine put in to grow that community is just so commendable. Like, those guys just are a ton, and it's awesome.
A+ dudes all the way. Could not say.
Yeah, I mean,
like, you can't say a bad thing about them, man. Like, they did it right. Everything they
do literally everything right. Yeah, they just they keep putting out like a great record after great record after great record, but they also just put out so much content. And they change, but like don't feel like a different band. Like can somehow like play the old songs in the style of the new ones and vice versa. And like I firmly believe they're one of those bands that could play with, like, they could tour with literally any band and cater their sound to that audience and still sound like the Maine. You know, like, it's just a matter of whether or not they go more like Forever Halloween route or more like American Candy. It's just like, I don't know. They're so freaking talented, and they do so many cool things, and they've always been just super like legit dudes. So
I was stoked to see them do the halftime show for the Phoenix Suns last year. I was like, yes, get them on the freaking I was so pumped to see that. I was like, finally get them some recognition they deserve, man.
It's just like, I realized like how many of like Jimmy Eat World, also one of my favorite bands, also from Phoenix, right? Gin Blossom's band I grew up on, one of my favorite bands, also like Tempe, but you know, Phoenix area. So like there were so many bands that like I loved that just played Phoenix Suns halftime shows during the last playoffs. And I was just like, oh man, this is
I love it. But I'll say this to kind of wrap it, but like the 8123 community, like I look at that and all I think is like, they've done it right.
Oh, absolutely.
They built a community like around themselves and like made a family and made a fan base that's self-sustaining, so where they're not having to play by anyone's rules but their own. And so when I think about like what I want for Haunter is like, I'm not necessarily like trying to go out there and be like the biggest artist of all time. I mean, that'd be cool, but like that's not really that's not my end game. My end game is to build a community to where we're able to put out records and like have that be like our job. Like, that's all we do is just put out Haunter records and do shows and like do eventually grow our clothing line and like build a community around that, and just like really get people bought into Haunter, not only as a band but as a brand, and like really bring in like that sense of community to where like our fans are legitimately friends with each other. Like it's not just a Twitter hangout. It's like literally, hey, we're all in the same city. Like the band is in town. We're all going to go hang out. Like, and they're actually legitimately like genuine connections being established, because music has done so much for all of us in our lives, and that community needs to be fostered and protected. And I just thought it'd be such a cool thing if we were able to kind of do that for a group of people out there.
That would be incredible. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think that's an incredible goal. And obviously, you know, now that you mention it, I have to ask the clothing line. I didn't know anything about a clothing line. So tell me what's up with that.
Yeah. So we have a clothing line called Print Money Gang, which the name is ridiculous, but it came from there's an inside joke that we made in the studio that we were like one of our first trips out. And so that's kind of been like the little umbrella for all of our endeavors. And so we have a merch line online. It's printmoneygang.bigcartel.com. And it's just something that we started. It was more of a passion project. So Mark and I have like came up with all the designs and like put it up. And so it's small, but like I think it's really cool. And I'd love to expand on that. Like I think we have some really cool things out there, but like I'm looking to give it a bit of a facelift soon, and I'd love to be able to like bring that up and like get more people aware of that piece of it. And then again, like have one of those things lead them to the other. So like if they discover Haunter, like, oh, I love Haunter, like, oh, Print Money Gang, what's that? Or if someone sees like an ad for Print Money Gang, like, oh, that's a dope shirt, or that hoodie is sick. And then they see, oh, it's started by these guys who are in Haunter. What's that? And like, whichever avenue, whatever pocket of interest that we have and we put under the Print Money Gang brand, like it's a way to kind of like get people into that community and like realize, oh, once I get through the gateway, there's a whole like world or experience that's
dude,
there for me.
That's amazing. I love that. That's so cool. Yeah, I mean, props to you. That's a lot of work, and it's super cool to like. I hope that just goes stellar, because there's so much opportunity in. And this is the thing that I constantly try to remind myself, and like try to remind other people who I'm talking to. Like, there's room enough for everyone to succeed and be buddies, right? Like that's the coolest part about all of this. And that's the thing that I think is so dope is you guys aren't looking to say, hey, you're a part of that club, you can't be a part of ours. It's like, no, let's be a part of both, because that would be super dope, right? Like let's incorporate everyone. And that's, and like even like having your clothing line and the music, it's like none of these things are exclusive. Like we want everyone to be a part. And I think that's just super exciting. And it adds at a completely extra level, because let's face it, like when you are a fan of something, it's so much fun to meet other people who are fans of the same thing. Like I've got some clothes that are in that same realm, like Johnny Cupcakes. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Johnny Cupcakes, but Cupcakes shirt. Everyone who knows Johnny Cupcakes will be like, dude, and then you'll be like, dude, and then you're friends, right? Like you're instantly like friends with each other because it's Johnny Cupcakes, and it's that same vibe. I'm stoked for you. That's so cool, man.
Yeah, I wound up going to like some conference he spoke at, like some years back, actually in Arizona, I think, of all places. And like he was like, hey, if anybody wants to meet up after, I'm gonna go to like this place, and like I don't know, maybe 10 or 12 people showed up, but like we all just sat around a table and like had drinks. And it was in the middle of the night in Arizona, but like I learned more from that guy in, an hour and a half, just asking questions or, at this random like bar place than I did from, I don't know, anything I learned in school about business, at least.
Yeah, dude.
I mean, he's just,
I love his story, bro. His story is so cool. Going from being in a metal band to selling shirts out of the trunk of his car that he had just freshly designed, and everyone's so confused, to opening up bakeries. I was just like, dude, this guy is just
it's smart branding.
Cool. Yeah.
Like, have you ever are you familiar with Russ? Like he's Russ. He's a rapper. Like an artist. Like, oh, dude is, first of all, phenomenal. Like he's a phenomenal artist, but he's completely independent. The guy is just insanely, like, he's low key huge in like the way of like, okay, like he may not be all over the radio, but like his songs are going platinum.
Buddy, you're not.
Like he's doing all these big things, and he's just moving very like subtly. And what I love is that he put out something recently on Instagram where he talked about serving his niche. He was like, you don't need to please everyone. Trying to please everyone is a fool's errand. Like it's never gonna happen. It's like, but if you serve your base, if you serve your niche and you grow that and you really do everything for them, like it's gonna work out. Like it may not work, it may not be exactly what you envisioned, but it's going to be like you're gonna be the happiest and you're gonna be the most fulfilled, and you're ultimately probably gonna be the more successful if you just focus on that and nothing else. And so that's been really sitting with me. And so like I know initially we had said, oh, we're doing pop and it's so different, but like I'm not closing the door on like certain, like if this song like takes off and like we get the feedback and like people are like, oh, this is it, this is what we want, like I'm open to switching the style up and like we don't need to with the songs that we have, but like also making sure that we introduce something that serves that base.
Well, I think the cool thing.
Go on.
Oh, I was gonna say, I think the cool thing about Haunter is there is no expectation from us for anything, right?
Wow.
So like every song in its own right is kind of its own thing. Like they're all like, you know, you could make them into like one cohesive. You could put them under like a cohesive umbrella, but like they're very much in their own sense, like all like their own little island, right? So they're, you know, there are no rules, right? We go into the studio, who knows what's going to come out at the end of that, you know, 2 weeks. It's just like whatever's supposed to like come out at the end is what will come out at the end. So I don't know. I like not having that like box of like we have to do this way, and it, you know,
we can do whatever we want.
And that goes back to what you were saying at the beginning, Enoma. Like it was exhausting being in that kind of confined space, right? You were in that band, you made this specific type of music with this specific group, and that was what you did, right? But it sounds like with Haunter, it's like, yeah, we've got this group of guys, we're all talented, we've all got awesome ideas, we've got so many things going on that like it's going to evolve and adapt. And I think that's the key to not, you know, like to not like everything, but it's the key to finding that happiness, because then you're never stagnant. You're never doing something that's not fulfilling what you ultimately are trying to accomplish, which I think is the ultimate goal, right? Like you were saying, you know, to make money off of what you're doing is the goal, and to be able to just make the stuff that makes you happy and that niche happy because they are the same, right? That's the dream. And that's so cool that you guys are on your way, on moving towards that. Cause that's something that so few people I think can say that they have in their life, this freedom, this fulfillment, and this ability to literally pursue what makes them the happiest. That's amazing.
Yeah. We're fortunate to be able to do that. Like it's not easy, and it definitely comes at like at a great cost, like financially, like it's definitely tough. Like sometimes like mentally to kind of like keep thinking like, does this make sense? Like, can I continue to go on? But like, I keep thinking like, if you're not living for what you're passionate about, like what are you doing? Like, life is like, life is short. Like, you know, I'm getting to that age where like friends' parents are passing away, or like grandparents are passing away, and I'm thinking like, cool, like what was the summation of their life? Like were they, I didn't think, were they rich? Were they powerful? Like I'm thinking, were they happy?
Yep.
Did they do what made them happy? Like did they do what made them passionate, or did they have a job that they hated and they just did life until life was done with them?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I'd rather be like, I'd rather just focus on like what makes me happy. And
absolutely.
Haunter makes me happy.
I think that was also like I mean, sure, if we get to a point that we can, you know, do this for a living, like that's obviously pretty much anyone's dream that's making music, right? Is to be able to just make more music. Because if that's all, I mean, you know, in an ideal world, I just make music all day, every day, because it's like the thing I enjoy doing most. But I think that, like, my goal, you know, in this project is just to like make music with my friends, right? Just to do something that we all enjoy, that we're all proud of in the end, and then whatever else happens after that is fine, right? So the primary goal is just always to spend time with people you love and make something you're proud of and enjoyed, and then just see where it takes you.
Absolutely.
And I mean, I think you guys should be super proud, super stoked, because the music you're making is dope. It's so fun. Like the coolest part for me is that each song has its own vibe, and it's there's obviously that, you know, like you said, Mike, you know, you can put it under the umbrella of Haunter, but the fact is, like, each song is very unique to itself, and it's so cool. And then obviously, you know, the remixes add a whole extra element to it's like, oh, I'm listening to the same song, but I'm not at the same time. And so you guys should definitely be stoked, because it's super awesome what you guys are doing. And I, you know, obviously Lucy wasn't able to be here, but obviously huge shout out to her, because her voice is super dope, and obviously adding some absolutely awesome elements to the band.
Like, I spent I don't know how much time with her now, and like every time I'm around her, she amazes me even more. Like, her ability to transcend any genre is like it's just mind-blowing. Like, we'd just be riding around in an Uber in LA, and whatever, like, country would come on, or like whatever the Uber driver had on, right? So sometimes it was disco, sometimes it was like R&B, sometimes it was country. And not only did she know every song ever released in the history of time somehow, but like she's able to like tailor her voice to like just sit so perfectly in every one of those genres. And it's just, I don't know, I'd kill to have an ounce of that talent.
Yeah, awesome. I have this distinct memory of us recording Paralyze. She was I think it was like the last chorus, and with the last chorus, like there's this part where she's just really just like wailing and like going for it like vocally, and it was such a strong take that that Tyler's wife, like, literally audibly from the other room was like, "Damn." And I was like, okay.
You know, you've got something when people would like, whoa.
Yeah.
She's just in there minding her own business. And
yeah. And it's just like, you know, she sees legends in their studio all the time. Like, so for her to like audibly stop what she's doing, break from her day to day, which is like basically like being home and doing her work, and then like just hearing that and just being like, okay, that pulled me away from what I was doing for a moment, and I had to respond to that. Like, I basically just want to like be Kim's favorite band. That's cool.
Yeah,
that's like hands down like the only goal. Like,
honestly, you know, you're right though. You know, if she's hearing all these bands come through, and if she's impressed, like that's a good goal to set. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, you've heard all of these bands, and for you to like step out, that is a big deal. That's cool, man.
Yeah, I took that as a huge compliment, and I think that's also part of like what makes Paralyze really special. Like, is I think this will be like the first song that we put out that'll really show, like, everyone has an idea of what Lucy can do, but I think this is like one where we'll be like, all right, like,
it's one of the ones where we were able to just be like, all right, just go.
Yeah,
because I think that was like Tyler's instruction. He was just like, hey, just record something. We'll see, you know, like whatever comes out, we'll go from there. And like whatever her first take was is in the final mix. Like, there's some other layers and stuff, but like it was one of those things where like we were all just sort of like wide-eyed staring at each other across the room, trying not to like lose our shit, because I don't know, it was
a moment for sure.
That's so cool. Sure.
And I'm so excited for Paralyze. Like, I think I'm so excited to see what this one does. I think we've put a lot of thought into like the aesthetic, like from the artwork to the photos to like all the stuff leading up to it. Like, it's it was like everything was by a very intricate design.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that's so cool, man.
Big shout out to Enoma for just, I mean, nothing that happens in this band would happen without him, because he is just always looking forward and driving and coming up with idea after idea after idea and like just making things happen. So I know I say that all the time, but I try and say that every interview, because like I can't thank you enough for what you do, man.
That's I don't know, man. Like I love, thank you, Mike. First of all, I don't want to gloss over that, but no, I mean, I think you just, for this band, like I love it so much, and I want it to do well, that I can't help but be kind of obsessed with it.
Like, dude, that's the key, man. You've got to be obsessed with your own project.
Easy to work hard. Yeah, it's easy to work hard for like on something that you love, right? You know, we all, I'm sure, got to that point in old bands where like just so much as like posting a tweet about something felt tedious, because you're just like, I hate everything about this now, because like it's just, I don't know. I mean, like it just happens, right? Bands either stay together forever or they break up, and very rarely do they break up when it's like, hey, everything's great. Yeah, we're just gonna end this now. And so there's definitely like bands that were wiser and realized like, hey, we should stop this before we hate each other, rather than we're stopping this because we hate each other. Which, I mean, thankfully, I feel like my old band got to that point where we're just like, all right, this is clearly not working, and we're just, if we tried to force it any longer, it would have deteriorated, and so we just said, hey, we,
Yeah, but I'm the kind of guy who's a little like I said, I'm persistent. If nothing else, I'm stubborn. So I think my last project was very much like kept grinding, kept going until it literally could not sustain itself any longer. And then when I think about Haunter, like I think the thing that fires me up the most is just the fact that I think everyone's fucking cool. Like I mean, that makes a difference. It's huge. I genuinely like hanging out with everyone. Like I like hanging out with everyone. I like when we all do things together. Like I'm always like, oh, we should have like a movie night, or we should go do this. Or I was even thinking for like our second birthday, I was like, wouldn't it be fun if we like just got like a cake and do like ourselves
have a birthday party? Yeah,
just random stuff. And I only do that like, not only do I think it'd be like kind of fun and cool content that would like hope more people fall in love with us, but also like genuinely I just kind of want an excuse to hang out with y'all.
That's awesome.
That's so cool. Yeah, I mean, even if it's all just, going to Grand Prize and having drinks, hanging out on my patio. Yeah, dude. Like, there's a bar that's very much like our bar that there's a song that was inspired by it that'll come out at some point down the road. But
but that's the thing. I think that's what it kind of takes. Like for us, like I think for any band to even have a shot at doing anything significant is like you kind of have to be obsessed with it. Like
you really do, yeah.
Because no one else is going to do it for you. Like, I mean, we're fortunate enough to be releasing this with some partners, and like I'll be very honest with you, like their biggest thing for us was like, you guys do pretty much everything else really great, but here's your Achilles heel, and it was TikTok. They're like, y'all need to get way better at that. Like, you need to be more consistent with that. And like, I'm not gonna lie, like I'm a grown ass man. Like it feels fucking silly for me to have to like make these things where I'm like lip syncing or headbanging or be like, hey kids, have you ever felt like this? I'm like, this song is literally about like kink and polyamory and a bunch of other shit. Like, feels kind of weird that I'm trying to be like, have you ever felt like this? Like, have you ever been in a couple before? Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like,
but the nice thing is to like, the reason you work with other people, the same reason bands don't produce their own stuff, right? It's like, because you need that person from the outside that's like, this is what you guys need to be better at, and this is what it's not, and so they've been super helpful in a lot of ways. But yeah, it's TikTok is, I don't know,
it's weird. It doesn't feel good, like, but again, like I love this band and I want us to be successful. So if it means I got to like act like a jackass on a camera, then like, and if it helps someone be introduced to us and like fall in love with our story and like go along for the ride, then it's worth it. Like, the people that we're partnering with are smart. They know what the fuck they're doing. Like, So
well, that's I mean, there's a reason. Like we self-released everything until this point.
Yeah, and you'd be a poor student of the game if you didn't take feedback and like act on it. So like that's the thing we're working on now. Like even now we like started like communicating to like a cadence for us to like find a day of the week to be like, cool, we're gonna treat this just like a band practice. Like we're gonna get together for a few hours. We're gonna be ridiculous if we gotta be, but we're gonna make these videos because we've seen that it's what helps build our brand. I mean, one of our good friends, a band called Loveless, like
stellar, dude. He just is killer on social media.
He's
killing
all these covers he does.
Is fucking crushing it right now. Like he is crushing it, and it's all because like one, he's insanely talented. The kid is a
crazy awesome voice. Those vocals,
crazy awesome voice, insanely talented producer. Like he's a talented dude who worked his ass off. Like everything he's done on his own, like with him and his bandmate Dylan, like they have done it all together, and like they've worked hard and they built it on TikTok. Like TikTok, literally, it was the thing that led to the other thing. Like they post those covers, someone finds them, realize that they have a bunch of stuff on Spotify, follow them on Instagram, follow them on Twitter, like, and then all of a sudden it finds these fans, and then these fans become super fans, and then they start telling people, they start building own little clubs and communities within that microcosm, and it just blows up. Like, and it does it because like he was obsessed with his own band. Like he put in the work. Like he may not have loved TikTok, but like because he was like, cool, I'm gonna be consistent. I'm gonna keep putting this stuff out. Someone's gonna find it, and it did. And
like, I mean, that album they released a couple months ago was stellar.
Oh, dude, it was so good. It's so good. Like, that song "Sun" is so. "Sun" and "For You" are like my two favorite tracks on that record. Like, he's crazy. He's crazy talented. But like, it goes back to like we were talking about Russ earlier. But like, so I watch a lot of rappers' videos on Instagram, mostly for motivation. Because if there's any industry that like has got the hustler's mentality down, it's the rap game. Like they know like the hustle, and they know how to motivate you. And there's this rapper from Houston, Toby, who's fucking insane. Like one of the best things to come out of Houston in forever.
Since water parks. I'm just kidding.
Like, I mean, I think I don't know. Houston, when it comes to hip hop, Houston has a deep, deep, deep bench of talent. Like,
oh yeah, dude. The chop.
I wouldn't even know where to start, man.
Chop and Screw was the big thing down there at the time that I was living there. I was like, what the heck is this? And and that was just like a subgenre of every, like that's a big industry down there in Houston. Obviously, Meg Thee Stallion came from there, right? Like that's
yeah, Lizzo, Meg Thee Stallion. I mean,
I didn't know Lizzo was from Houston too. I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, she claims she's in like, you know, you got Bun B.
Beyonce, obviously, back with Destiny's Child. I remember.
Houston's a detail, but like Toby said something like, and it stuck with me. He said, they don't care if you're good, they care if you're consistent. And like that, like stuck with me because I was like, man, like I like going back to the whole thing, like where I have a real love-hate relationship with TikTok, mostly hate, but it I'll be honest, but I was like, okay, if I'm gonna grow and I really say that I'm obsessed with my band and I really want this to win and I really want to help give us a life to where this is the only thing that we do. If this is the missing piece to the puzzle, building consistency there, fuck it. I'm gonna do it.
Well, and again, it's all just finding that door, right? Getting somebody in the door, however they come through it to find your music and find your band, right? Like there's not like I'm one of those people that like I obsess over new music. Like it's my goal to find as many new artists as possible all the time. Like I set a goal last year. I was talking about this with Mark on a different interview a couple days ago. I set a goal last year to listen to 1,000 bands over the course of the year. And I hit that goal. And
that's awesome.
If you look at like my most played charts, it's not like I was listening to, you know, like my most played artist only had like 100 something plays, you know, like I don't just like, I love the bands I love. And like, I will listen to the songs and or like, I could sing you literally every part, like instrumentally if I needed to, but like, I I constantly crave. There's just so much talent out there, right? There's so many bands out there that just need that exposure, and so like I make it a point to go through like my Spotify discovery like weekly on Spotify every week and listen to like if I can't listen to every track on there, I save them and I listen to it the next week. And like I just because it's like that's what 30 tracks times 52 weeks. That's like 1,500 songs right there, right? And it's not. It only takes like an hour and a half a week, and like you're going to be doing other stuff. Put it on in the background. If something like piques your interest, go back and find it, right? But like especially things like that are curated based on stuff that you listen to, and like they're like we're trying to give you stuff that you like. They're not just throwing random stuff, in there. And so it's just I don't know. I there's nothing to me that's like that feeling of finding a new band and then like diving into it, and finding out like what else have they done? When are they coming? Like when can I see them on tour? And just all that. Like unfortunately the like when are they coming through on tour has been not as fun over the last couple of years.
It's a little touch and go.
But I don't know.
I'm in the same boat, dude.
It's just it's just a feeling unlike any other, I think.
Oh yeah, dude. I'm in the same boat. One of the coolest feelings is discovering a new band and then being able to go back through the discography like, dang, I've been missing out so long on this band, and just like finding something that just like really just hits the spot. You're like, dang. Or like it's tough at times. You'll find a brand new band and they're like release something super dope, but that's all they have, and like I need more, And
I was gonna say it's just
it's so
it's
cool.
Just
man.
as cool, like on the other end, where you like they have like 3 songs and you're just like, I want so much more than this, right? Because there was I don't know, like Charlie Adams is like she was my most listened to artist probably for I don't know, probably 2 years. And like one of the years, like her, like she was at the top of all my charts because she had like 3 or 4 songs out, right? And she just popped up on my spot, like on my Discover Weekly one week, and I was just like, there was a song called like Backseat that just resonated with me that I listened to probably. I think I had like a drive to Tulsa, and that was the only song I listened to for like the entire day. It was like a 2-hour drive just on repeat. But it was just one of those, just one of those things that like hits you at the right time, and it's like,
dude.
Being able to watch artists grow like that, like this band called Valley, and like I don't know, and Band Camino was the same way. Like when they popped up, they had like an EP out, and like seeing how huge those guys are now, and like everything they've done, it's just I don't know, it's just so cool. And like there's so many of those bands that like if I hadn't put forth just that little bit of effort to like try and find new music in a in an avenue that was right there, all I had to do was click play on a playlist, right? You never just
and it is fascinating too, because like if you look at the numbers on Spotify and you look at the way things are breaking down, like the older, it used to be a lot of the newer music would get the attention and would drive a lot of the listens and stuff. But as of, the last year and a half, 2 years, so basically the pandemic, it's shifted. So now over 60% of the listens are songs that are older than 20 to 30 years old. And so it's very fascinating because I feel like there are a lot of people who aren't in that same boat, who don't have that motivation to check out something new. And it's like, I don't know how to fix that necessarily. Like the podcast is one of my small ways of trying to do that. Right. I'm like, I want these bands to have one extra platform, one extra voice, one extra place to find, one new friend, 2 new friends, 10 new friends, whatever it is, and have new fans. Right. But I am thinking, like, I've been trying to think of what is it that is driving these people to not want to discover new music like we used to. And so, it's sad to me.
Yeah, it's a bummer. I think people are comfortable. Like they find what works for them, and they rarely ever like step outside of that. And it's weird because like Spotify and Apple Music, they do such great jobs with like their curation and their ability to like, try to put new artists like in the forefront and bring attention to them. But it's like, I don't know, you have to find like a way to connect with people in a way that's not necessarily like, hey, listen to this song. Like, and I think that's maybe where like TikTok and like Instagram like have kind of been like these gateway drugs. So people fall in love with like who you are as a personality before they really hear anything about your music. And then once they
valid.
get to the gateway, they're like, oh, okay, like, oh, or if they see a funny TikTok and it happens to be like an artist who's like, oh, that dude makes me laugh. Oh, he posts another video. Oh, that's super funny. That's super funny. Super funny. Then like by the 5th video, they're like, oh, he's also a rapper, or he's a singer, or she's like a metal vocalist, or like a R&B singer. Like, oh, they're actually doing something else, and it like you've gone far enough down the rabbit hole to be like, oh, okay, I'm bought in.
Yeah.
So you throw up a, hey, this song's about this, like check it out, like link in bio, like they're like, okay, they're already kind of bought in, and so you've given them something that they can kind of like consume, and then it's like, all right, cool, now I bring you into like what I'm really about, which is music. I just happen to be someone who makes music and happens to be funny or interesting, or have like an interesting take on life, and I can bring that up and then like find a way to bring the two together. And then now you hit that follow button on Spotify or Apple Music, cool. The next song that pops up, it's going to hit your Discover Weekly. Someone's going to see it, and it all branches out that way. So like, I get it. Like I get the whole like old man yelling at cloud. Oh, I want things to be familiar. I want it to be the way it was. But, like, there's so much coolness and so much stuff like to be found and to be enjoyed through this new level of curation that I think the challenge for like us, and what I'll call us elder emos, is to just kind of be able to embrace some of that change. And like once we do, like we'll realize, oh man, there's so many younger artists out there who are dope, who are doing things that I already love, like in new ways, and they're putting their own spin on it. And some of it may not be super great, but a lot of it's way better than for where they are in their life and where they are as an artist. We're giving them credit for. And like, shout out to those artists who are really getting it done and really challenging themselves and being consistent and like putting out that content and like bringing, like having a really great story to tell. Like it all kind of comes together.
Yeah, dude.
Well, I think that's the cool, like, I was gonna say we could talk all day about the bad things about social media, right? And how like what a hellscape the internet can be in general, but it's also like it's done so much to like break down that wall between like artists and like their personal lives, right? So like you're able to like whatever your interest, like I'm going to talk to people for hours on end about Star Wars online. Like if you just want to have a conversation, like let's go. Like I'll never get sick of it, right? But it's like it's just one of those things that like you can't, you know, like people are gonna see through it if you're like faking stuff, if you're just trying to pretend like you're into something to try and get into like a market or whatever. But if you're just like being yourself and like, I mean, yeah, you might be on a platform that you're like not like, you know, didn't grow up with or whatever, you know, but it's just one of those things that I don't know. I just feel like it's so cool to be able to like just meet other, like I have so many people that I'm like friends with that I met on Twitter, you know, like I followed for whatever reason and they were in town or I was traveling somewhere, like we met up and like are now like legitimately friends that just met via like wrestling or Star Wars or something about sports or like some band that we both like. It's just like, it's just amazing how, you know, you can definitely use the platforms for evil, but like there's a lot good I think that can come out of it too, which is really, really cool.
I agree. Yeah, I mean that's ultimately the key, right? Is find the way that works for you and you know, be one of the uplifting voices on social media. Don't be the ones that are the awful ones. But it sounds like Enoma, you know, it sounds like you're a fan of Finn McKenty like myself, you know, elder emos. That's
yeah, I mean it's a thing, man. I've decided to embrace it and just be like, yeah, that's what it is. But like I
mean, it is a little strange to realize like my music, it does come that full circle, right? Like it's like, oh man, I'm old enough that bands are doing like 20-30 year reunions for
year anniversary tours.
Anniversary.
Started getting me a lot. It was like in the last few years.
Yeah, the early November, like their first album dropped in 2002, right? Ooh. So they're on 20 years, and it's like, holy crap! And it's like, I am that old, and I'm happy about it. I'm embracing the heck out of it. You know, my biggest goal is to just get my kids to enjoy it. Like They enjoy some of it, and I'm like, I'm working it, you know, like I try my darndest to get them to actually listen to the music I love, but it'll take a little bit.
Early November is great.
Just play them sticks and stones and be like, everything you need to know about pop punk is on this record right here.
Yes. Yeah, dude. I mean, I actually almost took my son to Newfound Glory it was like, I don't know, 5 or 6 months ago. But he had school the next day, so my wife said no, and I was like, all right, whatever, I'll go with my brother-in-law. But I'm like, man, when they come back, if it's on a weekend, I'm 100% taking him. I'm like, I've got to take him to a show, because that's what will convert my kid to love music, you know, because you know what you guys were talking about, that live experience, there's just something about it.
I still remember, like, I was gonna say, I still vividly remember that, like, Garth Brooks show that I went to. It was like the first concert I ever went to, and I was like, I don't know, probably like 7, 8, 6, 7, 8, somewhere in that range, right? But like, just the freaking energy that he had back then was nuts. I mean, he was doing like his like drummer was in like a, you know, like an enclosure, but it was like slanted, and he like ran up the front of it, did like a backflip off of it at one point, and like there was like a rope ladder that he like ran and jumped out on and then like swung over the crowd on. It was just like, it was the coolest. It was literally the coolest thing I'd ever seen in my life, right? And it was a freaking country show. But it's just one of those things that like I still vividly remember almost that entire show all these years later, because it made like an impression, you know. And like, that's, I can almost guarantee you that my love for live music started that day at that show.
I mean, that's what happened with me, but I wasn't nearly as young. I was 15 when I went to my first real show. But I mean, the show I went to was totally amazing. It was the Juliana Theory and Jameson Parker. Like, incredible,
man! I love, I love both those bands.
Like, oh gosh, dude, they're reimaginings of their old songs on their. Oh my gosh, I was blown away.
I'm still so mad. I had tickets to the like the May Juliana Theory like co-headline in New York, and then like COVID, right? And so I just wasn't able to get out there, and I just like, I was looking forward to that for so long. Because it was like they were playing like Emotion Is Dead front to back, and May was playing the Everglow front to back, and I was just like,
which are two of my favorite albums of all time.
Ever, like, right?
Ever. Exactly.
But speaking of Jameson Parker, their full length like still holds up to this day. I don't know if you've gone back and listened to that since then. Like those,
dude, I listen to it all the time still. I'm like, I'll go back and
like
it's so good.
Yeah, I just appreciate. So like, I feel like their songwriting was one of those things that kind of transcended genres. Like when I listen to that album, I'm like, any one of these songs could be a country song or a pop song or a rock song or whatever. Like if you just take the chords and the melody, like they work in anything, right? The lyrics, sometimes they were a little out there because
they were so dark, but they were like, so it was felt like, I don't know, it just kind of like, there's something about Jameson Parker that I heard them that night, and I just never stopped listening. Even when like he broke off and became E for Explosion, and then Sleeping in Cars, like all of his different projects that he's ever done.
Parker was just didn't want to say anything for a long time.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I didn't follow Parker as much. There was just something about Jameson. Like, literally, my son's middle name is Jameson, right? Like, so nice. But it's like, yeah, dude, like there was that concert just stuck with me forever. I think Enoma will come right back, right? Probably.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, I'm sure he'll be back. I don't think it's dropped.
But
yeah, Jameson Parker is one of those bands. I was lucky enough to see them. Like I followed an entire tour that they were on. Like one of my old bands would just kind of like, we'd do this thing where we'd follow tours and like play acoustic outside the tours, and then just essentially act as like a runner for the tour, you know? So we'd like just drive them, you know, like we'd go to Guitar Center and get whatever they needed and just hang out and like just play Kids in Line, right? And one of the tours we did that on was it was May, the Academy is Jameson Parker, and a band called Days Away that's now Good Old War, if you know Good Old War.
Yep. Yeah, I actually listened to Days Away as well.
Yeah,
see, the funny thing is I look back on a lot of these bands, and like the one that's still the funniest, like the ones that are funniest to me, like Bowling for Soup obviously did the Phineas and Ferb theme song. The Fold, I don't know if you guys ever listened to The Fold. Great band. But now they made the theme song for Ninjago, the Lego Ninjago show.
What?
And yeah, right. Like I was like, wait, this voice sounds familiar. So I went and I was like, I looked up who sang the song. I was like, wait, I know these guys. And I looked and their old album from like 2005 or whatever. I was like, this is incredible. They are the voice of Ninja in Ninjago of the Lego Ninjago show. I was like, this is incredible.
It's amazing.
That is so cool.
Yeah, no, my favorite thing about Bowling for Soup shows is like the, just like inappropriate humor for the entire length of the show, but then they're like, for everybody with kids, and then they just play the Phineas and Ferb song, and they're like, that's all they're gonna remember. Like, don't worry about the rest of the stuff.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, real quick, guys, this has been a really awesome conversation. But I don't want to take up your whole night because I understand you guys obviously have lives as well. But I always love to end my podcast with totally not related to the band at all topics. Do you guys still have a couple minutes?
Yeah, for sure.
Of course, man. Yeah, it's been a pleasure. So,
oh, good. I've loved it. This has been awesome. But first question here is because I eat way too much candy and way too much sugar. So I always ask this one: favorite candy. And if you don't like candy, maybe favorite dessert, something sugary,
Sour Punch straws and hot tamales.
Oh, nice, dude. I haven't had hot tamales in so long.
Oh, dude. There's just something about them. Like, I don't know. Like, I like to eat like 3 or 4 of them and just like mouth on fire.
Yeah, on fire, dude. Oh, I love it, dude. I haven't heard of those in so long. I've been pounding Mike and Ike's like crazy lately, though. So
yeah,
like Mark, I feel like you're a glutton for punishment when it comes to the spice stuff.
Like, yeah.
Yeah,
Mark,
same
like
here. I do it with like hot sauce on literally everything I eat. But
yeah, hot sauce wise, I keep them next to the bed.
It's got bravado next to the bed. Nice,
bravado boys. I love that.
Yeah,
I've never even heard of
keep
bravado.
all the hottest ones.
Bravado spice, dude.
Let me tell you,
just buy the whole line. It's all. Some of it's like literally like the last wing on Hot Ones hot level stuff. I mean, it's like,
oh dang, okay,
it's way up there. But like they've got some stuff that's more manageable too. I'm also a glutton for punishment, so like I'm like, give me the hottest thing you can find and let's go. But
the best hot sauces ever.
They're so good. Man.
And awesome. They're not only they're Houston boys, but they're also day one homies of mine.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah, dude. Like
I'm all about Houston, bro. I've been telling my wife we need to get back there because we lived there for a year and a half. A few years back. Love it. Well, not Houston. We were in Missouri City. So just
Houston. Yeah, it's Houston area.
It's Houston. Like I just took the toll road, I just did Fort Bend Tollway. It was like a 10-minute drive into downtown Houston, right?
Houston runs from like the Woodlands to like Sugarland to like Galveston, right? It's just all Houston.
I mean it is just that whole, what is that? Because they've got the Highway 6 is obviously like the big circle, right? The one that goes all the way down to Galveston.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, I don't know. There's new loops. There's Beltway 8, and then there's Highway 6, and then there's like something outside that even.
Yeah, there's like 99.
99 is the real big one that goes way out there. That's the one that goes to like Roosevelt.
We're just a bunch of concentric circles at this point, It's fine.
But for me, candy, I don't get down on candy too often, but I love a good Reese's peanut butter cup.
Like, dude.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Like, tell you this: every episode of my podcast, almost every episode, at least one of the people, it's a Reese's. So I mean, you are in good company, man.
It's one of those like I don't like. I've been a vegan for I don't know how many, like 5 years now, probably. And so like there's not a ton of candy and that sort of stuff that's vegan friendly, so it makes it a little bit easier. But I will say, like, if they ever decide to release like a vegan Reese's or like a vegan Butterfinger, like I would be all over those. And like it could like it's so freaking easy these days to like. The problem is like all the vegan candy is like dark chocolate because that winds up being vegan by default a lot of times. And I'm just like, yeah, but I want like there's so many vegan milk chocolates. Like I want the milk like feeling and like all of it. So yeah, it was. I mean, when I could eat anything, Reese's peanut butter cups, 100%.
Nice, dude. I mean, I was all on board with the Butterfinger, dude. I love
also Butterfinger. Yeah, those are the go-tos.
I
had like a vegan Butterfinger like blizzard at this coffee shop in Arizona last weekend. That was like, it was like a fully vegan like coffee shop breakfast place, and they did like blizzards, and I was just like, oh god, I've got to have that. And it was,
bro,
one of the things I was like, I never thought I'd get to experience this again in my life.
Dude. Man, apparently I need to make my way down to Arizona. I've had a lot of awesome bands on the podcast from Arizona. I just need to go and meet all of you guys. Like, there's just a bunch of you down there. They're just like, Arizona's on fire right now. When not literally, but figuratively with music. And like,
it's so hot out there that sometimes it feels like it is. Yeah, but yeah, I know, dude. I just, there's so many bands from that area that I've always loved. My old band used to record, like, I've never been out there like full time or anything, but my old band spent a lot of time in the Phoenix area recording. And then obviously, like, the main is from out there. And so like anytime I get to go see those guys play, I'll take the opportunity to go to that in a heartbeat, because it's just
absolutely
just
dude, Arizona, like there's a lot of good stuff coming out of there right now. Like I said, I've had a lot of bands on the podcast from there, and I'm just like, hey, there's something good in the water down there. But all right, next question here. This one, if you can't come up with a single answer, I'll obviously allow for your top 3, because that's pretty easy. So favorite movie.
Ooh.
This one's always a tough one, because it's just like, and if you, this is another rule that I allow, if you want to lump like an entire like
franchise into one,
right?
Yeah,
like
that's what,
like, I like the Avengers movies. It's like, okay, but that doesn't include like everything, right? I don't know. I'm just saying, like, throw them out there, whatever you think.
It's really funny, because that was actually going to be my answer. Like,
I'm all for it, dude. I'm obsessed with the Avengers. Like,
yeah, like, so the Marvel movies in general, like most of them are like pretty awesome to like freaking amazing. I would have to say of the Avengers movies, my favorite is Infinity War.
Oh heck yeah, dude!
I think Infinity War is just, it's wall to wall. It is just the best.
I think the end of that one made the movie even better. That like it ended on such a like, you were like, what just happened? And you walk out of the theater and you're like, a part of me is gone now. I'm missing a piece of me.
Oh, sure. I was changed by that movie, like fundamentally changed. And it was just because like it was just like Thanos was just unrelenting. Like you couldn't stop him. And I was just like, for some reason, I was just like, I knew it wasn't going to end in their favor, because obviously, like, we knew that there was going to be another movie, but just the way it was just like,
it was so much worse than I expected, like so much harder to take than I expected.
For sure. Like, but I would say hands down of the Avengers movies, that is number one without a doubt my favorite.
Heck yeah, dude!
I may end up watching that tonight.
Like, I know what my plans are now.
Like, I have to start. If I watch that, then I have to watch Endgame, and that's like a 6-hour commitment.
That's a commitment, dude. That's a big commitment. You're gonna be up until real late, real early, I guess.
That may not work out for me, but like, damn, if that wasn't.
So my answer, like, if I had to pick like one thing, it would always be Star Wars, and it's hard for me to like really different. I mean, like, I love the entire franchise from TV shows to films to all that stuff. But
I'm in there, bro.
If I had to pick like
on board with that
actual films in there, like probably Empire Strikes Back or Rogue One would be the 2 top ones. But I don't know.
Rogue One is number 1 to me, and Empire is number 2. Those are my order.
That's my 1A, 1B. So, but my other all-time favorite films are strangely enough, Days of Thunder, the NASCAR movie with Tom Cruise. I don't know. I grew up as like a big. It's basically Talladega Nights, but a drama.
But serious, because it's Tom Cruise.
And strangely enough, John C. Reilly's in both of them. So that's just
that's awesome.
But yeah, he was like a NASCAR driver. It's where he met Nicole Kidman. It's like super old. I don't know. I grew up I was a big fan of car racing as a kid, so that was that. And then Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2: Secret of the Ooze. Oh yeah, Jeff Gordon.
Oh nice, dude.
Yeah, TMNT 2, man.
Like, are you mad?
What did I pick? Did I pick Secret of the Ooze over the original one?
Yes.
You chose the second one instead of the first one?
I mean, the first one is categorically a better film in every way. But
what are you talking about?
Number 2 holds a place in my heart just because of, I don't know, it hit me at the right time, man. I think
I was about to say, F your heart, you're just wrong.
No, yeah. The first Ninja Turtles movie is it's dark in so many ways, and it's so good. Like it's one of those things that they took like
watching that young. Like
that it's like they took like they did it like they should have, right? Because the comics weren't that like that happy, you know, like there's a lot of dark stuff in there, and then like, you know, the animated series was all cartoony and all this, you know, so it was at least closer to, you know, it's like when you got like, I wish more people would do darker adaptations of stuff, you know, because it's like you look at like why like the Dark Knight and that whole series was so successful. It's because it was like gritty and dark, and it wasn't just like fantasy and happy and
honest,
for sure. But
it wasn't like that
Ninja
darkness either, like the Justice League tried doing, and like Batman versus Superman, where it's just like so not authentically. It was just like
it wasn't really
force this one, but like that's what makes you excited. Actually, like I don't really like Robert Pattinson much, but I am excited for this new Batman. It looks like it's gonna be it's gonna mess with your head. Like that Riddler, like it's gonna be interesting. Dude, I'm excited for that one.
I wasn't because at first I heard Robert Pattinson. I mean, like every dude, you didn't give him his credit, but like it looks like he's really gonna pull it off. And it does. Super excited.
And having like a Batmobile, just I don't know why, but I got really excited having a Batmobile that seems more realistic too. It's like, dude, this is like an old school like Camaro Batmobile. That's kind of dope.
It's all. I'm super excited. Like I cannot wait. Cannot wait for that one.
Heck yeah! All right, Mark. What about you, man?
Man, I have always been just diehard Star Wars. You know, from episode 4 and like way back then till even now, like the Book of Boba Fett.
Dude, such a great series. Oh,
it's all good. The Mandalorian was great. I have a lot of fun with it. But since Mike already said that, I did watch this movie the other day. I don't remember if it was called Wilmer Lake or Shimmer Lake.
Either way, I haven't heard of
it. By the time I realized that, like, what was going on in the movie, like they tell the whole movie backwards.
Oh, okay.
So like the event happened on a Sunday, and then it says Sunday, and then the next day is Saturday, and then Friday, Thursday, Wednesday, and then they told the whole story backwards. Awesome. And by the time I realized that they were telling the story backwards, I was, whoa! You know what? I gotta watch this again. Hold on, I didn't catch this.
That's
I've always
cool.
been a huge fan of anything that breaks like the norm of storytelling. So like Memento, right? It was cool because it was like you're piecing stuff together. You don't have all the information. Same reason that like a lot of the Christopher Nolan stuff is cool because it's all just like you have to see it so many times before you even realize the layers that are there. Right? It's not just like a linear story, which is always tight. I do want to, while we're talking about movies, want to give a shout out to The Wretched, by the way, just for being one of the worldwide debuts of Haunter. There's a horror movie came out during 2020 that was actually like at one time was the biggest box office movie in the country because it was playing at like drive-ins and there were no movies because everything was closed because of COVID. And so it was like 6 weeks in a row, it was like the #1 movie in America because it was playing at like a few like select places. But it was very like a just old school kind of 80s horror movie themed thing. And
I think it's streaming on Hulu.
Yeah, it's streaming somewhere. I mean, I own it because I gotta support people that support us. But there's a scene in there that has one of our songs in it that's actually not released yet. Like it's one of the songs that's not out. So there's a Haunter Easter egg in that movie.
Yeah,
that's sick. Man, that's awesome.
Yeah, that was such a cool thing to happen.
It was just a cool movie too. Like it was one of those things that like I started telling my friends like, hey, you should go check out this thing, and like they already all like had watched it, and they're just like, oh my god, like I had no idea. And so
that's so
I don't know.
cool,
It just it's just really tight.
All right. I have one follow-up question to see how deep the nerd runs with the Star Wars nerdiness. Do you guys read the books? Do you go that far? Or do you like just stick with the movies and shows?
So when it was expanded universe like books, I didn't read all of them just because it was so disjointed and kind of overwhelming, right? And I was like, people are telling one story and like people are telling another story and like the characters are dead in one and alive in another, and there was no like I was just like I can't, like I don't want to read something and like deal with Chewie dying and go through that grief if like other people are just like, oh, Chewie's not dead, it's fine, right? Like we need to and so but so every novel that's come out since like 2014 or whatever that's like canon, like all the canon novels now, I've made a point to read every one of those. I'm like three behind right now, but I own them all. Dude, Thrawn is great. Catalyst, the
Catalyst
Rogue One,
is dope.
the Rogue One prequel novel was so good.
Yeah, there's two of them, weren't there? There was two prequels to Rogue One, I believe.
I think there was another one that
maybe Catalyst.
Well, Catalyst was the one that it was just the story of like Galen Erso and like Jyn and all that stuff. You know, and his relationship and his feud with Tarkin and like you know, I don't know. It just was like that movie already was like one of my favorite movies ever, and that book expanded on so much from that film in just such a cool way. So I'm a Star Wars. If I was doing this from a place where you can see my bookshelves, it's just 90% of the stuff up there is just Star Wars novels.
I love it.
Yeah, I unfortunately have not read the books.
No, you're good, dude. I'm always curious because when I tell people I read the books, a lot of times they're like, "Whoa, you're a real nerd."
Whoa.
And I'm like, I am.
Yeah, fine.
I would, like, I totally would. I just
I do audio
again.
Books.
They made it. Yeah, it's all. That's
audible, what I need
right?
to do.
Like
what I need to do.
I've made it a point to own every one of them. Like I have a hardcover version of every one of the canon novels, and it was hard to get. I didn't make that decision until like 2017. So some of the early ones, like the Tarkin novel and some other stuff, I had to get it was hard to hunt down a used copy that was in good condition. But like
eBay or Amazon.
Yeah, right. But it's just one of those things that like. I don't know. It made it easier for me once there was a Star Wars story group, right? And so like once it was everything that's put out, like some of it might be tweaked a little bit or superseded by something else, but like the vast majority of every one of those stories like matters, right? Because it's all technically canon now, so it's not just a bunch of nonsense. And so
they all matter to each other.
And that was so many of the things that people had issues with, like episode 8 and 9 and stuff. They're like, oh, there's all this stuff that like I'm just like, if you read the books, man, like they talked about
it'd be a lot better.
You talked about the Emperor's obsession with like out, like way like the beyond, I forget the term space that they're in out there, but like and like all the stuff that was touched on in The Last Jedi was foreshadowed in like all of these different novels and explained as to, and people are just like, oh, I don't like, this doesn't make any sense. It's like, well, they couldn't make a 6-hour movie, right? So like if you want the answers, Google them and they're there and they're canon. And I get that some people are like, I just want to watch a movie and I don't want to have to figure out why some of the stuff is the way it is. But like, I don't know. I thoroughly enjoyed all of it because it's like, I was so excited to see so many of the things that I, like all those breadcrumbs that have been dropped for so long. Like,
and even just somewhere. like the Master and Apprentice book of Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon. I was like, this is so cool because you just know Qui-Gon from the first one, right? Phantom Menace. And you're like, okay, well, what makes this guy so special? Then you realize he's like literally one of the most powerful Jedis to have ever walked. You're like, oh, this guy's actually pretty bad, and it's like really cool.
Well, we should have known, right? Liam Neeson doesn't play anybody that's
I know Liam Neeson, so dude. Like he's the freaking best, dude. I'm obsessed with Liam Neeson. Even those terrible movies that he like, I think this new one was like Ice Road or something. I still watch it and love it because it's Liam Neeson. You got.
He's so
all right. Yeah. All right. Kay, I know I've taken a bunch of your time. One last question. Favorite non-music related hobby? Something you love to do that has nothing to do with music?
Golf for me. That's an easy one. Yeah, I play a ton of golf. Thankfully, I work in like outside of music. I do real estate, and I've been in that industry for the last like 8 years or so. And so thankfully, I've got like I can kind of set my own schedule a little bit. I've been insanely busy lately, but
yeah,
for a long time there, for a long time there, I was able to get like probably 3 days a week where I could set aside a morning and like go play golf and then just start my day late, and just start things after that. And it's just been like getting outside. Like I picked it back up. I grew up like playing golf because my dad was, I grew up on a golf course in Oklahoma. My dad played golf. And so it was just like, part of it is like I lived at like Oak Tree where a bunch of the like pro golfers live. So it's like my neighbor was on like a PGA tour. So it like, it was kind of like I had a tie-in that made it more interesting than just watching golf on TV, because I was like, oh, I want to see what Bob does today. But like, it just,
I found myself turning on the tournament, the Masters, like, well, not the Masters. Which one was it? The most recent one they just did. Anyway, I found myself turning it on the TV, and I was like, my kids are gonna think exactly what I thought as a kid, which is like,
what are you doing?
Are you dumb? Why? Yeah. What are you doing?
It's a good way to put the kids to sleep, by the way, though. Like, just put golf on.
Yeah, absolutely.
All the kids are gonna be out. But I picked it back up during COVID as just a way to get outside, right? Because everything else was shut down. And I was just like, man, and then I just realized how much I loved it. And so it's
such a great sport. And it's
just fun because like you don't need anybody else to play it, right? And like you don't even have to have like a nice set of clubs. You can get, like you can play with pretty much anything. Yeah. Just get out there and like have fun.
An $80 set of clubs I bought off of a local site, KSL, like our classifieds for our local site here. And I was like, all right, bought myself a set of clubs. One, it's hard too because I'm lefty, so when it comes to like finding clubs, it's a lot
for sure.
But yeah, it's still just as fun though. Even with a cheap set of clubs, it's still enjoyable.
Well, and the idea is right. Like the idea is you get outside, and especially if you're walking, like you just walked 5 miles. Like you got to do like. The score is not really what matters. It's the fact that you got outside and did something, right? And you're just out there to have fun. Yeah. If you're taking it so seriously that like you're furious every shot, it's probably not for you. But like if you're just getting out there to do something, then like it's just one of my favorite things.
Yeah, I came to terms with the fact that when I hit a shot, it's gonna be bad, and I'm gonna have to go try and spend a few minutes in the rough and try and find the ball.
Right, that's the goal though, right? Hit it, find it, hit it again. Like that's all that matters.
Exactly.
And sometimes step two honestly, is not involved in that process.
I count as a victory. Yeah, I count as a victory if I like came out with the same ball I went in with. Like that is a victory to me. Like
I feel if I were to play, that's the best I could ever hope for.
I remember the first time I finished a whole round with one ball, and I was like, I'm a god. Like this is I don't know. I should be on the tour at this point, right?
It's happened one time. I've gone. It was only 9 holes, so it wasn't 18. I'm sure I'd have lost it within the last 9 holes. But the first 9 holes, I came out with the same ball. I was like, I am a victor. I felt like the freaking in 300. I felt like the soldiers are just like, I am Sparta. Oh yeah. All right, what about you, Enoma and Mark? What do you guys?
Man, so I think I have a lot of little hobbies. I think I've been trying to really be focused on like fitness. So like I do like to work out as often as I can, which is super, super boring. But I'm starting to get back into video games as like a way to de-stress. So like I recently got a Spider-Man Miles Morales. Like
so cool, dude.
Nice.
Yeah, such a good game. I just finished it the other day. I was like, wow, this is dope.
It was just too short for me. I just wish it was a little longer. It was such a good
story. It is a short game. It is a short game, but like I enjoyed it. I really did.
I loved it. Yeah, I thought it was great. Miles Morales is the coolest Spider-Man, in my opinion. He's just
So like I'm excited. I'm actually gonna go back and buy the original Spider-Man game for PS4 and get into that. But like, I get into video games. I'm definitely not on like a streaming tip, or I felt like, I could start a Twitch channel. I'm just literally just doing it to get away from like my phone and my computer for a little bit and like do something that's just kind of mindless fun. And then I haven't done it in a while, but like I am like actually looking at them. I started collecting like anime figurines because I'm like I love anime. Nice. So Dragon Ball is like my favorite series. So I have like a few figurines now. Like I'm gonna build my collection, but like it's just kind of something I was like, you know what, that's a nice little like hobby of mine. Like it serves no other purpose than to bring me like a little joy. So once I get my display case.
Yeah, dude, that's what all of this behind me is. That's the exact same thing, dude. Like,
yeah, it's just my little like nerdy thing. It's like the one like super nerdy thing that I'll completely own and say like it's mine is those figurines because I love them. Like I love anime. I won't apologize for it, frankly.
Oh, yeah,
nor should you.
So who's your favorite? Who's your favorite in Dragon Ball Z? Who's your?
Well, so I mean, it depends. Like I think overall character, I'd say Vegeta is probably my favorite.
Oh, snap!
Because, like,
okay.
I love characters like with a good story arc, and I think like. Don't get me wrong, it's shonen like manga anime, so it's very one note. Like there's not a lot of character depth or development. when you actually see like them actually give a character like not only like an interesting backstory, but like actual growth, like comes in as a villain, like everyone thinks, oh, he's just kind of like the number 2 in the series, but like with the new stuff that's being put out, like there's actual growth where there's nuance to this character. You see him struggle with like, his past like his past crimes. He's like, oh man, like I'm not that person anymore. I want to be a better person. I'll do it my own way. So it'll still be kind of a jerk about things, but like you're seeing him like show empathy and like show understanding for people and like honestly their traumas, which is weird because you think manga really talking about trauma and things of that nature. Like so it was cool and interesting.
Man.
So I think Vegeta's like my favorite character because like I love a good underdog.
Mm-hmm.
I love a good underdog. I love the guy who's like, doesn't matter how many times I'm knocked down, I'm going to get back up and I'm going to keep fighting and I'm going to keep pushing because like I feel like that's a very like it's a peek into kind of like my life where I'm like again like super obsessed with my band, like no one's gonna care more about it than I will. Like so even if things don't work out, like I can't give up because like I just have this vision of like what greatness looks like, and like it's like you can't compromise. You got to keep pushing. So,
Heck
like,
yeah, dude!
I don't. I like it, and it's stuff that kind of honestly keeps me motivated.
Dude, that's dope, man. I love it. All right, Mark. Last but not least, brother.
Ever since COVID started, I picked up riding motocross again. And
oh dang,
dude! So jealous, man.
Dude, some of those videos you have are super sick. Oh my god, dude! I just thought of an idea for one of our TikToks. We need to start incorporating some of this motocross.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm actually going out there.
Get that GoPro out there. No,
dude, dude, you're right. Oh, I gotta set the GoPro out so I can charge it. You're right.
Yeah. Good call. Hey, that's what this podcast is for. You know, you guys out
an ideas guy. Yeah. No, I grew up riding dirt bikes. I got a dirt bike for my 4th birthday, and it was like it was like a little PW50, right? You know, it just gas brake, nothing else, right? But even my friends couldn't understand the brake part. A bunch of them just like full throttle into the fence. But anyway, I grew up in Oklahoma, and so like there was places to ride, right? I could go anywhere and just drive out of the neighborhood and figure stuff out. I mean, I was on like a golf course, but even then there's like hills and things, you know, I moved to Houston, you know, when I was like 13, and we lived in the city, and there was just nowhere to go that wasn't hours outside of town and required me to bring a bike on a trailer. And so like I just rode less and less and less, and then basically stopped riding when I was probably like 16 or so, and haven't really ridden since. And still a huge fan of Supercross, and Mark and I, you know, talk about that all the time. Like still follow the sport really closely, but like I'm so jealous of your.
What do you ride, Mark? What do you
ride? I ride a KX 250F.
Okay. The biggest I ever rode was a 250, but the 125 was basically the age, like, you know, that it was a Kawasaki 125 that my buddy had. It was a 2-stroke, and it was like
I miss that sound, man.
Love to get
that 2-stroke sound. That like,
dude,
there's nothing like
magical about that.
It's one of those things that like sounds weird when you say it, but like going into like a small arena, if you ever went to arena cross and just smelling that exhaust, I was just
dude, it's that mixed fuel. Yeah, they mix it.
Oh god,
I
hits in all the right ways.
It was so much fun, man, because like I said, it was my buddies. We were in Vegas of all places, and and there was a big giant dirt plot back behind his neighborhood where it was just not developed yet, and so we would just go out there, and that was where we spent a lot of our days. We'd build little ramps and stuff in the dirt, and dude, that's so fun, man. And I like, so what, when you got back into it, was it just like, do you just ride around on track? Is there tracks you go on? You just go on trail rides?
There's a trail about an hour and a half outside of Houston, and then within, well, I guess there is one track about 20-30 minutes from my house. There's one about an hour away, and then there's one like 30 minutes south. So there's like 3 tracks in the Houston area that you can go to. All of them are a little bit different. They all got like different kind of dirt, and like one of them's super sandy, one of them's kind of, you know, sand and dirt, and then one of them's mostly just dirt.
So do you just load it up onto a trailer, and you got a little SUV or a truck?
He's got a truck. I got popped in the back of the truck.
A little Tacoma, and I just throw it in the back of the Tacoma, and
go out there.
Got a couple buddies that I'll meet out there sometimes, and you know, we'll just go spend the day with it.
Yeah, someday I'm gonna buy a bike and then just store it at Mark's place, and just have to go see him. Dude, so you're gonna have to put this in your truck, and we're gonna have to go out there because like it's not gonna fit in my car, but. Yeah, man, I miss it every day.
Yeah, dude, my wife, she won't let me get anything like that for my boys because she's like, I don't know how, because I've never met a person who has ended up passing away from a motorcycle crash, right? But she knows 8 people who have all crashed and died on motorcycles. And so she's like, no motorcycles in this house.
Like dirt bikes, or like
no, like motorcycles, just like on the street. But like some of them were street bikes, but like there was one
of those probably weren't their fault either. You know, like that's the scariest part. It's like,
we don't even,
everyone I know that's ever been injured were like just minding their own business, and there's other people on the road not paying attention.
Yeah, there was one that was a dirt bike. It was here in Utah. They were riding was either Moab or something, and they ended up going off of a cliff and tumble. Yeah, and I don't know if you guys have ever been to Moab. Those are like 1,000-foot drops. Like, you know,
I would not probably ride some of those just out of sheer fear.
But anyway, so she won't let me do that. So I was like, all right. And then I was like, skateboarding, and she said nope. I was like, dang it, man! Like, we got to get our boys into something that I did growing up, right?
Do anything cool.
Yeah. But they love video games,
and then she also nixed going to the Newfound Glory show, right? So it's like,
no, she was actually encouraging it until she found out it was on a Wednesday, and she's like, I don't know if that's a good idea. He's only 6, and I was like, yeah, but
it's fine.
I mean,
you only live once.
Give him a story to tell, right? I was that kid that like there was a I don't know, I think I was in high school by this point, so obviously older, but there was like a teacher that was like, bring something in to like, you know, like this classroom's very bare. I want stuff for like the walls, you know, and like, so if you brought something in, he would like hang it on the wall, and you get like bonus points or something. And like I brought in like a signed poster from a band that I liked. I was like, congratulations. Dude. Now you know who Never Heard of It is. Like, it's just one of those.
Yeah. That's amazing.
That's awesome,
bro. Like, one last thing. I still to this day am so traumatized. Like, I went and saw a really intimate Anberlin show, which is one of my favorite bands of all time. And
mine too. I love Anberlin.
Yeah, bro. So Steve, I was like literally 2 feet away from Steve and Christian, right? And like, he's like, I had him on the podcast, which was mind-blowing, the coolest thing ever for me. I was like, my wife laughed her head off because I was just so giddy about it. But like, I was at the show, and he was going to give me the set list because he saw me and I was singing along the whole time, but some other kid jacked it off the stage and ran. Anyway, afterwards I got it was during the New Surrender album release time, right? And so I got the poster signed, and I got a few guitar picks that they gave me, and I was like in heaven, right? But I was so stupid. I wanted to impress this girl. I gave her it all. I don't have any of it now. All I have is pictures, and I'm like, stupid. What an idiot.
Some things are off limits, man.
But yeah, I mean, I regret that big time, dude. big time regret right here. But you know,
all right, is there any way you can ask for some of your stuff back?
Dude, I went and I did a 2-year service mission for my church in Houston. That was when I first went to Houston. And during that time, she straight up blocked me on everything.
Oh.
And she ended up getting married, and now she's got like her own family and stuff. I haven't spoken to her since all of that, and now I'm like, man,
I want my stuff back.
I want my stuff back.
I just look, I'll pay for postage. Just
send it, please. Yeah, but like I said, I mean, for me, it was all made better by the fact that I was able to talk to Steve and Christian for like an hour and a half, like on my podcast, and it was like magical. It was the coolest experience.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
I've had a few interactions with him, man. Like he's nothing but legit. Like,
dude, such a down to earth, rad guy, man.
Facts. No, I'm such a huge fan of that band. Like I love seeing them so much. Like it's such a great band.
Yeah, dude, it was really fun because he came onto my podcast as a part of the announcement that they were reuniting and doing that show with Under Oath in Florida. And then you know, he hinted to that tour that they ended up doing, and I was like, I'm a part of this announcement, and I was just like freaking out.
That's awesome, though.
Dude. Oh man, yeah, I was. I'm telling you, dude, I straight up, like, when he responded to the email, because I just threw it out there I just emailed all my favorite artists, and like 2 of them emailed back, right? It was May and Anne Boleyn.
Nice.
And I got to talk to them both, and it was just amazing. But yeah, anyway, dude, man, thank you guys so much for taking so much time. I usually, don't like to take too much time, but we just had so much fun talking. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, dude.
Thanks for having us.
Have it back anytime, man. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Oh, dude, obviously you guys have a lot of music coming down the pipe. So, as more music is coming, let's definitely connect again. Let's have this happen. It was and hopefully, we'll get Lucy next time too. So we'll have all of you.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Oh yeah.
We would love that.
Dude, thank you guys so much. Have a stellar evening.
You too. Take care.
You too. Right. Later.
Peace out.
Bye.
Man, what a cool bunch of dudes. Whew, that was a long interview, but it was super awesome. Man, that was so much fun. I hope you enjoyed it, and definitely go check out Haunter. Those dudes, fantastic music, fantastic dudes. And until next time, deuces.